All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Chris Odegard, who is the prolific investor. He is also an alternative investment blogger, educator, and author of Get Off Your Ass and Manage Your Money: Why You Need Alternative Investments. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I just never know podcast by podcast whether you could say that whole title on the air or not. It just depends on the host. So
Well, there will be an explicit tag next to the
okay,
title
okay,
now,
okay.
but it'll be totally fine. I'll be
All
like
right, all right.
explicit one word, but no big deal. Chris, we like to jump right into the show. So if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a kind of a family of employees, and that's kind of all I knew. So I did what employees do. They go out and get an education and get a job and work there for forever, and hopefully that works for them and they get some benefits. And then in my mid 40s, I had a illiquidity event. Mine was a divorce where I lost 55% of my assets and thousands of dollars a month in
Mhm.
cash flow. And that's what prompted me to that, and a book by a guy named Robert Kiyosaki prompted me to switch to alternative investments. And I was able in 9 short years to come out of that, quit my corporate job, and never work again. So that's how I got to be, the prolific investor today. And I try to help people learn about the better way to invest, which is through all real assets and things like that. So that's what I do today. Mostly I'm living off my passive income, but for fun, I love my girlfriend. I love road trips, whether that's in the red Z06 vet or on a motorcycle. We love to travel around the country, and lots of times it's associated with some type of an educational event, meet new people and kind of network with like-minded people. And I'm really focused, as I get older, on optimal health. And that's, for me, is through weightlifting and aerobic exercises, and really about getting the right quantity and quality of sleep, which affects kind of everything in your life. And I've always been a continual learner, so I just love learning new stuff, whether it's in kind of my field or right now I'm on a big Declaration of Independence and Constitution kick, looking at the founding documents and how that relates to all the laws. They all started,
Yeah,
with those founding documents. So it's pretty interesting stuff.
I love it. And so when you are talking about alternative investments, are you talking about specifically real estate? Do you also do like some crypto stuff? Is there other alternative investments? Because I know some people will do like buying boring businesses or stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I mean, I my particular thing is real estate, but if in the world of investing, there's conventional investments, which is everything that's publicly traded on the stock market, and pretty much everything that's not publicly traded is an alternative. That's every subclass of real estate, commodities, private equity, small business, even cash value life insurance is a great alternative investment. I tend to focus on a real specific area of real estate after having tried everything, notes and tax liens and things like that. And so I've kind of just settled into a groove that worked for me. But the alternative space is very big.
yeah, for sure. What's your niche?
Multifamily apartments. That's really what I like.
You are the second multifamily apartment guy that I talked to today on the
Wow.
podcast.
Wow. Well, it's really popular now, and partially because apartments fared very well through COVID. I mean, rent collection was high, occupancy was high, and so it really got a lot of attention, like by a lot of institutions as well. As wow, there's really something going on here. We should all kind of get involved in that. So it's pretty popular. But some
Yeah,
of us were in it when it wasn't that popular.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So are you more focused on the syndication side of things? Do you buy smaller multifamily, like 20, 30
Yeah.
units? Where are you at?
I am specifically on the syndication side as a limited partner. I don't put together syndicators. I have a overarching philosophy that I like to make as much money as possible with as little amount of my own effort. So when I can get 25% annual returns by giving my money to somebody else who's an expert in what they do, whether it be apartment buildings or self storage, I find those right people, give them my money, and then we share in the profits, and that it just works great for me.
Mm. And so when you were in your corporate job, you were just putting money aside, getting it a 25% return in these syndications, and then it would.
Well, yeah, I was in the very end of my career after I'd gone through the divorce, and then I had to find a different way, and that's when yeah. started, taking as much money as I could and moving it over in that direction, out of the stock market, and new income coming in, and borrowing money, everything basically pulling every lever available to me to get money into these deals and grow it really fast.
Chris, are you
Yes.
telling me as a limited partner in a real estate syndication, you would borrow money and put it in the deal?
Yes. Yeah.
That is genius.
Well, thank you. I mean, think about this. And this is, I don't even believe I don't believe in home ownership in terms of, oh, someday I want to own my house outright with with no having it be debt free. Now we got to go back we go back to norm. Well, we're still really historically we're still in relatively normal interest rate times. People that haven't been around long enough think that sub 3% 30-year fixed mortgages is the normal. It's not. That was the aberration. Somewhere around 4 or 5 is probably historically accurate. But if I can make 25% annual returns in a limited partnership, why would I put extra money toward a mortgage that's fixed at 3 or 4%? As a matter of fact, here's something I did. I did a cash out refi on my house and got as much money as I could and put it into syndication. And then I also converted my mortgage to an interest only. I didn't want any of that principal going toward the house. I wanted it going into the limited partnership.
Yeah.
So as long as I have the cash flow, I'll take that fixed rate 30-year mortgage all day long. I don't care if I ever pay it off. Then I mean, if you've got like $500,000 in equity sitting in a house, that's just like putting that money under your mattress. There's really no difference. The house is growing whether you have a 0% mortgage or a 90% mortgage.
Yeah. Chris, man.
So that's the philosophy according to the prolific investor. There are a lot of people that wouldn't agree with that. Oh, and I do have to say, there is a psychological thing to owning your house outright and being debt free in that area. And if that helps someone sleep at night and gives them a lot of peace of mind, I can't argue with that at all. But if you really want to maximize, or if you were in a bad place like I was and you needed to get out, then I was like, okay, let's pull all the levers we can to make this happen.
Yeah. So did you take out extra debt outside of refinancing your house, or was it primarily refinancing your house?
Yeah, I refinanced, and I had personal lines of credit that I used. So yeah.
You are such a baller.
Well, now you got to remember that. So the problem with debt is, it cuts both ways. It magnifies your returns when times are good, and it magnifies them when times are bad. So you got to be very careful, and you got to use the right kind of debt with the right asset. So it's not something to do willy-nilly. I'm kind of flippantly talking about it, but it's something you need to do very carefully.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely check out good debt versus bad debt. But yeah. So I have a question. A lot of these syndications, they'll do 25% annualized returns, but a lot of the cash flow tends to be a 6 to 8% preferred. Maybe it gets up to 10. And so were you cash flowing enough from your syndication investment to pay off the debt of you?
No. Most of my real estate syndications are not kind of a cash flow model. They're a balance sheet builder. So, basically here's how I look at it. I send my money out and it comes back with twice as many friends in 36 to 48 months. So I'm doubling my money. So if I borrowed money to do an investment, let's say I borrowed $50,000 to put into a syndication or something like that, and my debt service was, $250 a month. So my investment was really the interest carrying charges that I had to carry until that investment came back. Yeah. So most of the times I was not in a cash flowing. Now, sometimes I have. I've been invested in ATM machines, which produce a ton of cash flow, and so those will pay for a debt all day long. But so, like I said, it just depends.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. So you said now you're living off mostly your passive income, but you do some blogging. Is there anything else that you do occupational wise?
No, and I wouldn't call my blogging a big moneymaker. It's just I write articles and do videos and try to help people understand this world of investing. I did write the book, which was really a lot of fun. That was published last year. So yeah, no, I'm completely living on passive income, and I lots of times people say, well, Chris, why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? And I said, that sounds like trading my time for money, and I don't do that anymore. There is one exception to that, and when you ask me about the future and dreams, I'll get into that. So, but there's one
Okay.
area where I make an exception.
Gotcha. Well, before we jump into your dreams and goals, let's hear a little bit more about your motivation. You're doing a lot to help people. You're jumping on podcasts, you're doing blogs, you wrote a whole book, all things you don't have to do. What really gets you up and keeps you going every day?
Well, I've always been I heard someone say he was a self-improvement junkie, and I'm kind of like that. I'm just a lifelong learner. It doesn't matter, what it is. Like I said, I'm studying the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, and so I always like learning. And, if I can, why wouldn't it have been great when I was in my 20s if I had had a guy like me having lunch with me, and he could have told me, I could have had a personal mentor that could have, shared some information with me, which I could have, cut all kinds of corners and got to a place faster. So I just feel like if I can catch some young people, and I like to call it the 401k highway to mediocrity. If I could get somebody off the exit ramp to that terrible system or prevent them from getting on it, their life could be completely different. So I just really like to share that knowledge and help people do things better and differently.
I love it. So for somebody like myself, I'm 23.
Yep.
You got a young one right here.
You got a young guy.
I love real estate. I love syndication. I more think about myself on the active side of it, the operator side.
Yep.
But it's because I didn't even think about taking out debt as an LP and arbitraging the interest rate and the debt that way. Literally didn't cross my mind. You need to get that out to more people, Chris.
Right. Yeah.
But what would you say to somebody in my position where I'm strapped for cash flow? It's honestly paycheck to paycheck right now, and I'm kind of in a 1099 situation, so paychecks aren't even consistent. What would you say to somebody in my position to build that lifestyle that you have?
Are you contributing to any kind of one of these retirement type of vehicles or anything like a 401k or
I
IRA?
hate 401k. I can't do
Good.
it. I can't do it.
Well, there's I wrote an article on this. There's kind of three different ways to get involved in real estate. I call it the do-it-yourself method, which would be the active thing. You go out and you buy a single-family rental and you manage it yourself. And then there's another way, which is there are these companies throughout the country. They're called turnkey single-family rental providers. So instead of you hiring the realtor, finding the house, buying it, putting renters in it and managing it. Basically, these turnkey family providers work in different markets in the country, and they're experts at buying and managing. So you just go to them with your cash or with your bank loan, and there are places in the country where you can get a house for $150,000. So you're not looking at you're only looking at tens of thousands of dollars to get started, and you buy their house and it's already under their property management company with a renter in it. We call it buying a loaded rental. And then the third way is the syndications, which I use, where you just give somebody your money. And like anything could be syndicated, ATM machines or self-storage or multifamily. The problem with the syndications is a majority of them require you to be an accredited investor, which means you have to have $1 million of net worth or a $200,000, I believe it is, income of a single person, 300 as married, but not all of them. So, and there's a way to find out who those people are. And for $25,000 on the very low end, you could give your money to a syndicator. And what I do in my article is I say, okay, here's the three, the direct, the turnkey, and the syndicator. Most amount of your time, least amount of your time. But guess which one makes the most money? The one over here on the most amount of your time.
Yeah.
So that's where I would either be doing, and you're in a 1099, we're living paycheck to paycheck. Going the direct path, you just taking on a whole nother job. You just got another small business called the single family rental over there. So I would urge you to go down, one of these other two paths off here with the turnkey or the syndication. And you want to maybe, unless you want that to be your full-time job. If you like this and you want to make this an investment, then you got to find a way to do it more hands off.
I got you. Yeah. I like that advice a lot. I am of the opinion I really want to run a syndication business. I want to operate and own it's one of my dreams and goals. I love real estate so much, and I love like the scale with
Mhm,
multifamily. Like
mhm,
you can buy a $50 million property, and then it's like, especially if you find a good deal,
mhm.
and you can get the investors the return where you refinance them out, and then you can get a majority of that equity back at the end of the deal, the 5 year, 10 year term or whatever it
Yeah,
is. Oh my gosh, that's just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I just love that. So
Well, there's an organization that puts on a class every year, and it's called the Secrets to Successful Syndication. So that's where you should go. It's twice a year. We could talk about where that is.
yeah, no, for sure. It's actually one of my goals is to join one of those mastermind communities this year. Like I want to do it
Mhm.
this year before
Right.
2023 is over.
Okay.
And it's the Brad Sumrock group, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I know Brad. Well, I don't know him personally. I know Brad. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to one. Anyway, I'll move on. Let's go on to your dreams and goals, Chris. So we got your motivation, self-improvement junkie. You just love helping people kind of move their life along. Tell us about your dreams and goals, vision for your life. I guess your investments, since you don't have a business, you're really hands off.
Well, I have kind of there is a well, in 20 this is 2020, what would be 2022, right? So 2021 I moved from Seattle, South Carolina. That was kind of a big deal, and I started and published the book that you mentioned last year. And so here I am, and I made a conscious decision that in 2022 I wasn't going to take on some new giant project. I was just going to kind of just take it a little bit easy. And I find myself at the end of the year and I'm getting kind of restless. I had kind of forgotten that I had made the decision that I wasn't, I first thought, well, I'm going to put the book out in the Audible version this year. And I said, I just need to take a year and just not just be so darn busy. And so I've taken not taken the year off, but I didn't take on any major new things. And I'm finding myself a little restless, and I have been for a couple months. And so I'm doing the writing, and I wrote the book and the blog articles and the video, and the thing that I've actually kind of trying to manifest it because I've added it to my business card. I've added it to my intros, and it's the word speaker now is attached to my
Yeah.
author, educator, blogger, speaker. So I would love to be out really in person or virtually as part of some of these training events talking about alternative investments. So that's kind of my next thrust.
Mm, I love that. So doing speaking engagements at alternative investments like conferences.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a tricky thing because the people that are at the alternative if you're at Brad Sumrock's event, or you're at a real estate guy saying you already, it's a level below that. These are the people that are still stuck in the 401ks and in the stock market, and they don't even know this other
Ah,
world is out there. So that's the audience I would like to get, and then we can pull them over, and they can go to the Brad Sumrock thing with you.
yeah, conferences for like budgeting or something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
don't know. We got to get the Dave Ramsey and Susie
Yeah,
Orman crowd.
that is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, if Dave Ramsey hosted a conference, that's where you would need to be.
Yeah, he wouldn't have me though, because I'd be talking about leveraging your house to buy real estate.
Yeah, that would be totally against his brand. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
But yeah, I wonder what type of conferences would be good. Like I don't know of those. I'm glad I don't know of those types of
yeah, yeah,
conferences, first off, but I don't know of them. So
yeah, yeah.
maybe you should run one.
Yeah,
You should run a
well,
conference.
yeah, maybe.
There we go. So you got speaking engagements at conferences with your target audience. Are there any other dreams or goals that you want to talk about?
That's pretty much it. Well, there's kind of one that I'm working on right now. I shouldn't even say this. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that one.
Oh, you gotta say it
I
now.
gotta say it now. So I turned 60 in July this year, and I really started. I had shoulder surgery back in January, and so I lost all this muscle mass. I've got all the flexibility and everything back in my shoulder. So it's really, I've never been motivated my whole life as much as I am to be at the gym working out. And I told my girlfriend, I said, between 60 and 61, I want to be qualified to be an underwear model. Not that I want to go be one, but I want to have the right equipment that I could show up and audition. So
I
so
love
I'm
that.
working on that.
I love that. Be qualified to be an underwear model. That's amazing, Chris. I will say I thought of something for the conferences. Maybe it's not a conference, but like, do you think corporate retreats would have you come speak?
Yeah, that would be that would be, and that most of those people are just doing the 401k. So I could see, yeah, I'm writing it down. Yeah. And this is what I need to do, start doing in January is, where are these people? And there are organizations out, and I see them on Instagram all the time. I don't know what, be a speaker, get trained, you do, let us get you speaking engagements, and the problem is there's a lot of people that will take your money, and you got to figure out who can actually deliver the results. I'm more than willing to, to get help where I need it. And I've never done this, so obviously I need some help. So I need to build a resource list and just start checking out these different organizations and see, which ones could help me, effectively and economically, I should say.
Yeah, I've seen like Grant Cardone speaking ads. He's trying to train. Grant Cardone does like 50 million things, I swear.
Oh yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, getting a coach or something is definitely good. But I think you got a good head on your shoulders, so you'll be able to figure it out.
Well, and and the nice thing is, sure, it's always nice to make more money, but it's not, that's not the main motivation. So I don't have to be in any hurry. I can take my time, and just, as long as I'm making progress, I always feel good, when I'm moving forward, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Have you ever thought about do you have a podcast? You're just a blogger, right? No podcast.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I don't have a podcast.
Have you ever thought about starting one?
Yeah, I've been encouraged to do that, but that's like a job, man. I'm just like,
It is. It is.
I won't be, it's, okay, my schedule, even as a guest, I was doing so many podcasts. It was like, I was like, gosh, my every month I can't go anywhere. I mean, obviously I could be a guest on the podcast from anywhere, but it's all better where I'm here and I've got the lighting and the sound and everything set up nice. And so I started just doing them in the first week of the month. So I've got 3 weeks out of every month where I could be off doing whatever I want. Mm-hmm. And I just think a podcast would be, that'd be a lot of work.
It would be. Maybe you go once every 2 weeks. You got to do 26 interviews a year, or you just do a solo podcast where you're just educating people. But it is work for sure, and you don't need that in your life. So there we go. Awesome. Well, Chris, what are the top 1 to 2 skills that you need to develop to get more speaking engagements at these conferences in front of these people, or become an underwear model?
Yeah, we'll go with the speaking. I feel like I'm a terrible marketer. So I really need some help on marketing and packaging, and it's almost like I almost need a turnkey solution. I feel like I've got the content. I mean, I've been writing these articles and generating, stuff for, 4 years now. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and find out. I mean, you can apply to be on a TED Talk or a TEDx talk. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go start, perusing that and see, okay, what are they looking for? I just need to get started and just start putting my name out there and saying, hey, I could do this. I could come talk. And so, actually looking at what they're looking for in a TED Talk and making the presentation and being in a position where I'm ready to give it, at a moment's notice is one of the things.
I gotcha. Marketing. Do you post on like social media and stuff, or do you just blog on your website?
Yeah, no, I'm on all the platforms. So yeah, I do that. Anytime I put out an article, it goes out everywhere. Sometimes I'll do a video as well. I do some of these little doodly videos, that are like 5 minutes long, and I'm working on one of those. So yeah, I'm out there.
Yeah, I guess in my head, marketing has always been to sell something. And so when you're not selling something, it's like hard to really dump a lot of money into marketing, because it's like, you're not necessarily going to get that return.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so it's like the thing that I don't, and the book is a thing, but that's not, it takes a lot of sales of books to make that, any kind of an income. So, the thing that I don't really have, and I didn't start this whole thing, to make money, but the thing that I don't really have is the thing that I'm selling. But the speaking thing is the thing that I think that I need to be working on, because I think it's backwards, so I go out and do a speaking event and I sell 500 books. Right. Yeah. You make, $1,000 or $5,000 at a speaking event, and I sell a whole bunch of books. So I think that's really, and I would really just get such a kick out of that. I think, a lot of us have been on the receiving end of some type of presentation where it was the right person at the right time, and you heard the thing for the 15th time, but on that day, the light bulb went off. I've been there, and I would love to be on the giving end of that, that
Yeah,
whole scenario. So
for sure. For sure. Yeah, no, that's key. That's key. I think Gary Vee talked a little bit about that. Like I say the same thing in every video. Like I talk about 6 things because I know that somebody needs to hear it in that 2 seconds that they're
right.
watching that video 2 years later when I'm saying it again. So
Yes, right. You just never know. It's a repetition is key. It
yeah.
really is.
Do you
There's
think
the whole saying that the teacher will arrive when the student is ready.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think with this you'll ever get to the point where you want to sell something other than your books to make it a sustainable thing so you can reach more people, or you think you just kind of want to keep it to the organic growth?
I've the other thing that I think of is, some people would like to read the book. Some people would rather have buy a series of training videos that basically walk through much of the same information that's in the book with graphics and me doing that. So that's something I've thought about doing. But then, it's just a matter of, it takes time and energy to put all that stuff together.
It does, yeah. No, for sure. I feel that. I'm just thinking because there's this girl, Cody Sanchez, on Instagram. I think she has like 300,000 followers or something like
Yeah.
that. But she runs a newsletter that is $1,500 a year,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she sends it out like once a week, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that newsletter, like it's a newsletter and kind of like a mastermind community.
Yeah,
And
right.
people would eat that up with your
Yeah,
product. It would be a
yeah,
lot of work, which I know is not something you're really doing right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
But they would
Yeah, so that it's really about, what is it, what's the thing that I want to do
yeah,
to, trade my time for money, and the speaking thing would be one of them. If I could get some traction in some area, like that, then I would definitely put some time and effort into, creating, a training course that, people could get online and at a self-paced kind of thing.
I got you. I got you. There we go. There we go. Maybe there's a turnkey solution out there for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe. Well, awesome. What are the highest impact daily actions that you can be taking right now to tick the needle forward towards your dreams and goals?
Well, first of all, I have to get started.
Yeah.
I've got to get started, and that involves, I call it building a resource list, and those are resources of companies and people. Who can I talk to? I mean, we're only a couple steps away from somebody who's already doing this, and so I just need to start that huge networking event to find the organizations and people that can kind of help guide me or give me some pointers along the way. So we're kind of getting to the end of the year, so this will be a January thing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What?
But I did start. I put it on my website. I put it on my business card. So and actually on my website it says, "Hey, book Chris to speak at your next event." So it's out there.
Yeah, no, Chris, I think you're well on your way. And honestly, I have no doubt that you're gonna be as big as you want to in the time you want to. Like you just don't seem like a guy that's not gonna hit the mark, if that makes sense.
Well, I appreciate that.
Of course. What character trait do you most need to develop right now to make your dream life come true?
Character trait. That's a good question. I'm not
I
sure
mean,
how
if
to
any,
answer that one.
you may have impeccable character.
Oh, well, character trait. I don't know how to answer that character trait.
Yeah, when I thought of this question, I thought of things like patience, discipline, focus, consistency,
Yeah,
accountability. Do any of those like ring a bell for you of like maybe this or maybe something ancillary to those things?
I would say consistency. So I've got it. I'm just sitting here because I'm going, well, it's just because I haven't started yet, and I've been thinking about this, and I did decide to kind of take this year off. So I don't really have too much of a doubt that once I get started, it's just a matter of daily forward action, and success builds upon success. So once I kind of start that, I think that'll work. But I think the discernment piece of all the of all the people out there, you called it like a turnkey speaking provider, the ability to be able to sort through all those people and find the real one that's going to deliver the results. I think that's going to be kind of the hard part, because they're just everywhere. Everybody's got something to sell, and you could spend a whole lot of money and not get anything in return. So that, I think that's going to be challenging.
Man, I don't know exactly how that business would work, but that's a great business idea for somebody if it's not out there. Like filtering through all the online gurus and coaches, because so many people are scared of getting scammed.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I've spent, more money than, I can't think of any, I've had coaches and taken courses and everything, and I learned, they were all valuable, and I learned something out of them, but none of them actually got me to the point that I was trying to go to. In a lot of cases, I got involved with this and I went, you know what? I actually don't like this type of investment. So
yeah.
I learned what I didn't want to do,
Mhm.
but none, I've never, bought a training program or coaching thing where I regretted it or it was a scam.
Yeah.
But have had some investments kind of go that way. So so anyway, I'm a little cautious, I guess.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, if there were one or two people that you could meet right now, and this could be a specific person or a type of person, and they'd really help you take that next step, who would that person be and how would they do it?
Well, I think it would be two people. It would be the marketing person and the person that's already a speaker out there doing it. A lot of times in conversations like this, the question is, hey, who are your mentors growing up? And the person will say, oh, well, I had this guy take me under my wing when I was 20, and or whatever. I never had those. I never had those guys. I had, and this will date me. I had the guys on cassette tapes like Jim Rohn and Earl Nightingale,
Yeah.
and Zig Ziglar. Those were my mentors, and they weren't in person, but I would love to. I just need to find a couple of those people to kind of help me down this path.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Do you know who Alex Hormozy is?
I don't.
You should check him out. He's like a marketing, he's not a guru because he's not
Yeah,
selling you anything.
right.
He's a 32-year-old guy, is worth $100 million right now because he's so good at marketing and selling, and
Yeah.
his wife is good at everything else business. So they're
Yeah.
just a power
They're,
duo.
well, how do you spell last name?
Hormozy is
Yeah.
Hormozi.
Yeah. Okay. Almost had it. Cool. I'll check them out.
Yeah, their whole company it's like acquisition.com. It's like documenting the best practices for building world-class businesses or something like that. I think they
Yeah.
are making real business education something.
Yeah.
They like giving out good info.
Yeah.
This is what it comes down to for
There you
free.
go. Nice. Free's a
Awesome.
good price.
It is. Great price. So now we're going to jump into our thriving three.
Okay.
First question is, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one.
You just won one out of the three.
One out of the three.
Yeah.
And
My
only
favorite
one in one category.
Yeah. Oh, okay. My favorite movie is Australia, with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman. It's just it's got the good guy, it's got the bad guy, it's got the love story. It's set in World War II, and it's just a fantastic movie.
Yeah. Australia. There you go.
Yeah.
And what's one way you like to take care of yourself?
I have a new thing here. This is an Aura ring, and sorry, I'm not advertising Aura, Oura, but it's a ring. It's kind of like a Fitbit on steroids. This gives you so much biofeedback,
Mhm.
and so it's like a sleep lab on your finger. Every day I get a score, a readiness score on a scale of 0 to 100. That's how ready am I for the physical and mental stresses of the day, and a lot of that's driven by a sleep score. And it also gives you a sleep score because it knows, out of the 9 hours you were laying down, you slept for 8. That means your efficiency was this X amount of percentage was REM sleep, light sleep, and deep sleep. And it's just a fantastic tool. And it says, hey man, you are super ready to take on the day. What are you going to do? Or you should probably take it easy because, your heart rate was elevated last night for some reason. Maybe you've got a cold coming on or something like that. So this is my cool new, turning myself into like the $6 million man.
There we go. There we go. I might have to get me an Aura ring. I didn't know it had that much biofeedback.
It is really quite impressive. So, and the nice thing is I'm a watch guy, so I like to wear, mechanical watches. So I can't wear an Apple Watch every day or a Fitbit. So I can have my watch and my Aura, and this thing is just so you don't even know it's there,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, this might be a little redundant, but what is one action step you can take right now to continue to get to your highest priority dream? Actually, no, not the highest priority dream, to meet. It won't be redundant. To meet that marketing person or person who is already a speaker out there doing it.
Yeah. I need to sit down and write some things down. I need to write down some action steps and just hear what are the things that I need to do. Where could I find these types of people? So I need to put together kind of write down a little plan.
Get that clarity.
Yep.
There we go. Awesome. This is our final series of questions. So these can get a little bit personal. So if you want to pass on any of them, just be like, I want to pass. And I'll be like, okay, cool.
After the underwear model, I mean, is it going to get any more personal than that?
Awesome. Well, what is one limiting belief that continues to pop up in your life, if any?
Limiting belief. I think it's just general doubts about, capabilities and, and can I do things? I think we all have those from time to time. So I think there's always a little bit of, a little bit of doubt in there.
Yeah, I got you. I was talking to somebody and they were like, have you ever read the book, The Big Leap?
No.
Great book.
Okay.
I think it's by Gay Hendricks. He describes the upper limit problem. And the upper limit problem talks about the fact that we have a temperature of success that we live in within our life. And if we see self-sabotage when our success rises above that temperature. And then you see great execution when your success goes below that temperature because you want to get back to the temperature you're comfortable with. And
so that takes me back to your question. That is, I would say my problem is not having big enough goals and not having big enough dreams, and that kind of is right in line with that. I've probably got a thermostat that's set to 72 like everybody else's, and that's where I kind of get in.
Yeah, I gotcha. Where do you think that comes from? The not dreaming big enough, not thinking big enough?
That's a good question. I don't know, because I've listened to and read so many things. It's all about goals, and I've never been this big giant goal driven guy. I've been a progress guy, and small steps toward this thing, and then it's the next thing and the next thing. But I guess I never go out there and say this is this giant thing. And maybe it's fear of failure. I don't know, but it just kind of always been that way.
Gotcha. Is there even a desire to do things with like a lot of grandeur that maybe you neglect, or is there desire just not there at all? Like when you think about impacting 1 billion people with alternative investments, are you like, that excites me? Are you like, nah?
Yeah, I guess I don't have the grandeur thing going on, and I guess I'm a pretty simple guy. My needs aren't really that, I don't need to be, I don't feel I don't need to be, I don't need to have a private jet, or things like that. So I'm not really motivated, to those extremes of wealth.
I got you. Totally understand. Do you have any actions that reinforce this kind of not thinking big enough and the general doubts? Like you have these beliefs, the beliefs generate thoughts, the thoughts generate the feelings, and then you act based on all of that.
Yeah, so this is going to sound contrary to what I said, but I said this to my girlfriend. I have this ridiculous amount of self-confidence, right? Just I don't even know why, but I just do. I just have this, on one hand I have these doubts, on the other hand I feel like I could do just about anything, and so
yeah, absolutely. What's so funny? Alex Hormozy, he talks about the trait, one of like successful people have 3 core things. They have like a deep crippling insecurity that they're not good enough, that fear of failure. Then they have a extreme self-confidence that they can do anything. And holding those 2 things don't make sense at all, but they have it deep insecurity.
Somehow they exist in the same universe, right?
Yeah. And I think the third thing was like focused perseverance. Like they can pick one thing and like are impulse control. They're not jumping from thing to thing. Shiny object syndrome doesn't get them. They kind of focus and build, like you talked about, the progress, the small progress, small steps. So awesome. Well, I don't know if this question will be relevant to you, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. If you were to change your limiting beliefs, the kind of just general doubts, not thinking big enough, into an abundant phrase that spoke to your heart, what would that phrase be?
You should have given me these in advance. This phrase. Well, I there is something that and it comes from a song, and it really kind of relates more to the physical aspect, but I think you can take it both ways, and it's something I thought about, putting on my wall. And I don't know if you know the Bob Seger song "Like a Rock," when he talks about standing arrow straight, and he's talking about in his younger days, and it was everything was like a rock, and confident and fit, and clear in his vision. So maybe that's it.
Gotcha. I'm not familiar with that song, but is it
Well,
is the essence of it, everything's like a rock? Is that the part that speaks to your heart, or is straight as an arrow?
well, he's hearkening back to a time, when he was younger. His eyes were clear and bright, his vision, and everything. He was just firing on all eight cylinders. And so, and even though I'm 60, I'm working really hard at being, the best that I can be physically and mentally. And I think that song, and yeah, you should listen to that song. It's good. The lyrics are great.
Gotcha. You said it was by Bob
Bob
Seger?
Seger, Like a Rock.
There we go. Like a rock. Awesome. Well, cool. We got one last question for you. And I want to frame this next question. So, Alex Hormozy, I know I've talked about the man a lot. I'm a big fan.
Evidently, you're a big fan.
Yeah.
I'm going to check him out.
He said that the difference between manipulation and help is intent. And I think his point here is that you're influencing people in both situations, but manipulation is about getting somebody to do something you want them to do, while help is about seeking first to understand what somebody else wants and then helping them get there.
Mhm.
This question is going to be about help, not manipulation.
Mhm.
So there's a common saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Mhm.
I actually found out from Dr. Alan Leica, who was a guest on the show, that you can make it drink. You just have to salt its oats. Now,
Salt its oats. Okay.
yep, salt the oats.
Is that kind of like putting beer or putting peanuts at the bar, right? So you drink.
Yeah, it is like putting peanuts at the bar.
Okay.
Now, I want you to think of a person with a fixed mindset, not willing to accept help, not willing to accept change, but they also hate their life, not content with where they're at. How can we, you and I, create an environment to salt their oats and help them change their life?
I think one way is to paint a picture of how life could be if they changed. I think it was Jim Rohn that said, wait a minute, you're telling me I could walk down any city street unafraid? I will take the karate lesson. So when somebody painted the picture of you could be this guy and never have to physically be afraid, if you could paint a picture, I think another saying I heard is if there's when there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. So when you can paint that picture of the future life for somebody, that's going to translate itself into, okay, if that's where I could end up, now I can see why I should do X, Y, and Z today.
There we go. I love it. Well, Chris, that's all we got.
That's the only question I had a halfway decent answer for.
No, you answered them all great. And that is all we have for you. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we sign off?
No, I don't think so. I appreciate you having me on. It's been great fun.
Of course. Yeah, sounds good. Loved having you on. Thank you for coming on the show. If you guys are listening to this and you loved what Chris had to say, make sure to pick up his book, check out his blog, buy a copy, review it, buy a copy for a friend, send it to 5 friends that need to learn about alternative investments. And if you happen to know any conferences where Chris can speak, or any marketing people, send them his way.
Oh, and I should probably mention the website where they can see all that stuff. It's theprolificinvestor.net. The link to the book, the articles, everything, and that's how you can get a hold of me.
There we go. That will be down in the show notes, as well as all of Chris's social media. So yeah, check him out. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you on the next one. On that note, we're out.